Welcome, everybody, to the Spellbound Survivor Stockwatch. I'm your host, Jacob Armstrong. I'm here with Jared Denny, minus the hyphen. Um, we just had the first full round of the merge phase of the game. Final 10 turned into the final nine. Jared, how did you feel about this round?
This round was actually fun. A lot of kind of chaos. What they kind of predicted, like what would happen, the last couple hours, it kind of went crazy. Um, but it was a fun round because of how the pendulum was swinging. So this round will be fun to talk about.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting because I feel like we've talked a lot about like who the potential like merge boot is, like who people like would get along with, who they'd link up with, and like this is the first round where we kind of saw like evidence of like the dynamics of the game at large. Like now that everybody is together, we did see Kevin get sent home, which I know the past couple stock watches we've been on the negative side of, and which, while as tragic as that is, because Kevin was playing a really good game the first half, the first third, I would say, of the game. Fortunately, his devotion to the bananas caught up with him. Which talk about the other two that are still here. Things aren't looking so hot, but I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get right into it. We have our final 10 up on here. If you would like, we could talk about my goodness, I've been like this all day. Um, what we could do is we could talk about Kevin first, just
Okay.
get that out of the way, and I could choose whomever we want to talk about. Just make
Okay.
it unpredictable, you know? Did you want to go first about Kevin, or did you want
Yeah,
me
I'll
to?
start. As you said, Kevin was on the downward for this. He really did, I think, need Sanam as to make it to this round so that he would have a more solid number. Because as we said in the last stock watch, Brian and Jeremy were already out the door. They It was like a sinking boat for him. And what didn't help him was Bryant was able to use his connection with Lily to sway it to Kevin. Because essentially what happened for Kevin was it was established early that people wanted to target Jeremy, Bryant, and Kevin because of how close they were perceived. And then obviously Jeremy won immunity. So it was between Kevin and Bryant. Bryant uses connection to Lily and his social connections to sway it to the other way and use truth bombs. I forget what, there was someone who coined that, I think.
Bryant said either that or half
Well,
truths.
he said half
Yeah.
truths. But like I was thinking there was someone in some game who said truth bombs. I don't remember. Um, so Kevin was kind of just once that happened, he had nothing stable to support him to keep him in the game. People already had this perception of him of being very talkative and just not be able to have like not have like great conversations with him. Um, so he was really doomed this round. So I had to give him a one.
Yeah, it's so interesting because this could have been a very divided round. What, because we were seeing, in the world where Sanam plays Riot or Sanam just simply just doesn't go home and Sergio buries himself in a hole, that the bananas would have gotten to potentially this point with five solid numbers. It would be the four members of the actual Bananas in J1 as their associate. And seeing this here, yeah, they don't have Sanam here, but who would have probably been very similarly to how Lily was a big advocate for Bryant and was trying to push it onto Kevin specifically. Sanam might have been doing the same thing, but with Kevin, or at least trying to protect Kevin as is. But Kevin, like you said, lacked that type of solid support. Um, we kind of see just everyone resigned, and for a lot of this round, it wasn't even a guarantee Kevin was going to be going home. It seemed like there was a lot of indecisiveness, a lot of people kind of very similarly to the Scenario round themselves, where no one thinks that they have agency, or like no one thinks that they have the connections to single-handedly pull off a move. So lots of people were playing a little bit scared, playing a little bit of cat and mouse with dropping a name. And at some point, when it dropped onto Bryant, and we get to Bryant and his response to it all, I think Kevin just didn't do enough. Kevin makes that alliance the Rune Breakers
Yeah, I
or
think that's
something
what he
like that,
did.
which was kind of like a last minute kind of thing because like he really
Yeah.
desperately needed that group to come together. And I feel like instead of doing it the Rune whatever, like instead of doing that, building that hours before tribal council, that should have been done almost priority the second y'all merged. Because if he wanted that structure around him, which he desperately would have needed, he could have been spending most of the swap, this last swap, trying to build this up and trying to gauge Jeremy's, Bryant's, and Jaywan's interest in making that group, and extending this towards like Lily, and I want to say it was Edward that was in that. I can double check, but point being, like the timing was it seemed almost like desperate, but from the looks of it, he didn't even entirely know he was going home. Like I know like most people who like end up going home like kind of in a way like say, well, this is my last round. It's been super fun to play Spellbound. Thank you so much for bringing me back. Like I've seen a lot of boots this season say this, whether that is them acknowledging, yes, this is probably my final send off. I need to say farewell to production and thank you guys for bringing me on. But and then entirely feel that way with Kevin. He seemed disappointed. I was like, oh well, no wonder why no one was talking to me the whole day because I ended up getting voted off. Um, Unfortunately, I don't really have all that much to say that you didn't already say, despite the fact that I was still yapping. I'm going to give Kevin a one. I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to add.
The thing about this round as like a whole is just the last second forming of alliances kind of out of nowhere was crazy because like Kevin did it for um the Rune Breakers who's I was making this alliance and I had to triple check like 7 times. I was making it correct because I was afraid I would put the wrong person in or forget someone. But yeah, this collection of people is just so random. Well, actually, I guess it's OG Baravi and Vulavu.
Minus Mikey. Because fuck
Oh,
Mikey.
minus Mikey. So it was a 6-person alliance,
Yeah.
Vulavu, Baravi minus Mikey. And that's such just a weird group that I don't know how you piece that together without doing planning beforehand. Like even leading up to tribal, like even, the days before, plant those seeds. And but overall it was just people in the last couple of hours were forming alliances and I'm like, okay, I'm interested to see how many of these are actual real alliances that will stick.
It's actually funny because there was another alliance that was like not the entirely the same makeup, but Edward and Lily were kind of thrusted into that alliance as well, the Quickies, which I feel, well, for one, I think it's just the name is funny. I don't know who came up with it, but props. But that was something that, due to the round with like the Sanam of it all, they all kind of came into merge, like the live night as, in an agreement, like we all need to stick together moving forward. And that I think is more indicative of like the work that you were supposed to be doing and kind of already preemptively gauging, okay, like who am I going to pick up as numbers for this alliance, Caleb's gonna pick up Aaliyah comes Mikey, Lily comes Bryant, like they were Edward comes Jeremy. Like everyone is already surveying the scenes like who can join the Quickies Alliance. Whereas I think while Kevin might have had that urgency, it didn't seem to be reciprocated from everybody else because, like you said, Jeremy and Bryant were both kind of out the door with the bananas at this point. Um, yeah, it's
But
just
the thing about the quickies that it felt way more natural to form, and I feel like it formed pretty quickly after Live
yeah,
Night.
I think so.
So it feels like a natural alliance, kind of like how you were saying, these four people were already kind of working together. It's the 3.0 Reluve.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, so it's the 3.0 Reluve people who have actually worked together compared to the Rune people who most of them haven't worked together or have barely talked. So, and then there's also the Golden Girls Alliance, who's another interesting one, but we'll come back to them.
Absolutely. Um, is this somebody that you're dying to talk about? Like someone that you think had a very interesting round, specifically a very interesting dilemma? Is it somebody that you specifically like point out?
Do we
Let's
want to
talk
go
about
to
this person.
Bryant? Because, him
Oh yeah, he
and
was the other night.
Kevin.
I'm down for that. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Bryant did a lot of good this round, I felt like. Um, he got tipped off that it was between him and Kevin for the names. He didn't panic that I saw. He had a call with Lily and they talked things through on what needed to happen because Lily had been having a good amount of conversations prior to Bryant and her calling. And they were like, okay, this is kind of what we're hearing and stuff. And they put a game plan in action. And Bryant dropped his half truths to people that were very effective in keeping him to stay in the game. Like um saying Jeremy said Caleb's name, which I forget if that's true or not. Um and like him Jeremy wanting to target Aaliyah, and which I we know is true from when Tommy went home.
Yeah, from like three. Yeah,
Yeah. So he had all this information. He was finally able to use it in an effective way to sway people. And I think that it's possibly put Bryant in a safer position into the going into this upcoming round than he was in this current round. Um, he has Lily as a solid alliance, and then I don't think he's in an alliance other than the Rune Breakers, which I feel like is just a dead alliance, really. Um, but still to see positives in his game from this round of being able to sway it off off of him, even though I give credit to Lily for doing it as well. Um, but it's like, how much do you dock him for, being considered a target for this round? But he didn't get a vote. Mikey got the lone other vote. Um, I'm gonna give him a 7, but I'm very open to changing it.
because my assessment of Bryant is honestly very tricky because I mean like we have been saying pretty much all the Stockwatch like oh Bryant's ready to throw the people on the bananas under the bus. He's kind of like gathering, like collecting all the receipts so that in the event that he needs to turn on them, he's able to. And he was able to use that effectively, not just to oust Kevin specifically, because he was privy to the fact it was between him and Kevin, but also just like to save himself and to possibly buy himself, like you said, like more rounds just beyond this one specifically. Because there's lots of times where the first tribal council at the merge, that person that's the secondary target or the person that's being heavily considered with the person who ends up going home, they kind of just go, they become the default name. They become the default name the next round, and that person now has an even more difficult task of trying to find someone else to push in front of that bus. The only thing that at first concerned me about Bryant was Bryant seemed to be reside to the fact of like giving Lily the zap gun, of telling Lily not to use the idol on him because he doesn't want her to ruin her game for him, which while I do believe that Lily, has I think right now more options than Bryant does. I think that getting rid of Bryant this early on was not good for Lily's game. And if it had to come down to, potentially giving Bryant the idol or then I feel like that would have been a worthy sacrifice, especially if you could frame this as Like so much could have benefited from this because everyone on Reluve 3.0 assumed, oh, Sanam has an idol. Which, like, if Bryant plays it, the the shenanigans then, so it's like, wait a sec, I thought you said that this person said that Sanam has an idol. Now this is or maybe Sanam gave it to, I don't know. I think that could have caused a lot of chaos. Like Bryant potentially could have hidden away from and Lily as well. Because I don't think people would have clocked Lily for giving it to Bryant, nor do I think people know of this connection, which is what's interesting here because Bryant and Lily, based off of just looking at this game, have no business being this close to each other to be giving each other alliance, giving giving each other alliance, giving each other advantages and items, giving each other coins, and being as forthright as they are with each other. And I don't think people are privy to the fact of how close they are outside of this game. Whereas, there's other duos I think that are still on people's radars. Um, so I'm gonna give Brian a 6. At first, I was gonna give him a 5 because I really didn't like the no, no, don't do it. You gotta do what you gotta do, Lily. It's like maybe you can shed a little bit more light from your perspective. I took it as like him being content with leaving in a way, so that for the betterment of Lily's game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't think he was like giving up in that instance, but I think that he was more saying that in the event I go home, I want you to succeed. And the way for you to succeed is if you still have this idol. And so, like, if he went home, he was like fine with it. He didn't want to go home by any means, but just in the event that he did, he wants Lily to win if he can. That's the whole point of it, really.
Which I completely respect. Like there's people whom like even like conveniently at this tribal council where we were talking about this of like, is having fun contingent on winning? Like, can people be satisfied
Mhm.
by other outcomes aside from getting first place? And the answer is yes. You can be happy, with someone who you really invest a lot of time with in the game going on to win, maybe propelled by your contributions in the game. So you kind of won in a way, or maybe you beat a placement curse if you're a returnee or got an award you really wanted. So it's like when I first heard the stuff from Bryant, it was from you guys on Prod, where Bryant seemed to be like, no, Lily, like Lily is trying to give him an out with just like offering this idol, which of course they did not need. Bryant put in and Lily as well put in a lot of work to ensure that he did not need it. Um, but how quickly they were able to trust each other is both good and both. I don't know why I'm nervous still. Because Lily and Bryant spent a lot of time with other people in the game, and I would hope that Bryant wouldn't be so quick to throw away his numbers just for the sake of Lily's positioning getting better. Because like losing Kevin, I think was fine, and it was if it was between Bryant and Kevin, then good. It's definitely not Bryant. But losing someone like a J1 or kind of sort of a Jeremy, which we'll get to him in a moment. Um, I'm not entirely sure if those are the greatest moves either, because I don't know who Bryant has that Lily does not have. Because I can name a lot of people Lily has that Bryant doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much he would give. I think that he'll think about it logically, and he knew Kevin was the perfect person this round to be the other name because Brian was ready to get rid of him. Um, so I think that Bryant would have pushed back on Lily some to come up with a better name if it like hypothetically say that it was like Jay she was wanting to target. I don't think Bryant would have wanted to do that this early. So I think that they can have like a good working relationship. Um, we'll just have to see how it fosters more.
See, I'm gonna go next, and I want to talk about J1. J1, I think, because we're on the topic of Bryant. J1 this round was interesting to say the least. I know that J1 was very excited to re-link up with the Gel Alliance. And in a confessional, he actually gave two confirmations. One, Lily is his number one. That is his person. I probably his trust rankings indicate that as well. But he was just like, look for it. Even as much time as J1 and Lily were separated, um, Now, for one, it puts into perspective why he wanted to be on Raluve 3.0 more than Baravi 3.0, even though Baravi 3.0 is a better position for him to link in. Like he didn't really need to do all that much work. Whereas Raluve 3.0, he would have. He now it makes sense because he wanted to link up with Lily, but he also said that he would have gotten rid of Edward if Issa was there. He did get that confirmation. I did ask him. I was like, oh, like because he was on the topic of Edward. I was just like, I never got to ask you about that tribal. Tell me your perspective on that. And while he said he wanted Edward gone over Issa, that would have been his crew moving forward. He is actually happy that Edward's still here because that activity can be something beneficial to him. Problem is, he basically shows his cards to Gel. He is asking the three of them, how about we make a six with, how about we work with Bryant, Kevin, and Jeremy moving forward? And clearly showing to Lily and Edward where his head's at, which is great. And I think I kind of put this because Bryant and Jeremy have been, okay, no, Edward and Jeremy have both been openly talking about who is on whose side. And so this is not information that Edward was not privy to beforehand because he knew that through Baravi 3.0, J1 solidifies that four with Bryant, Jeremy, and Kevin. But Lily probably, who's already been sus of J1 as is, probably is even more sus of him now, because he is trying to rope Lily into working with allies that benefit him significantly more than it benefits her, despite the fact that OJ1's supposed to be he's saying that Lily is his number one, but maybe not entirely showing it. Um, Kevin going is not the greatest thing for J1 right now. Um, there were better options. I do think the alternative being Bryant is worse. So like I just like choosing A or B. A was better than B. So like that's good. But just in the grand scope of things, there are some other people who he would have been better off getting rid of this round instead of Kevin. He could have gotten rid of I think Aaliyah, I think would have been his best option. I think Ryu would have worked. I think in a weird way. Like maybe Caleb also could have been a good. Whether it's like, but how does he accomplish this? How does he achieve this round? Like, was he doing a lot of work to achieve that? No, not really. He was kind of just coexisting. Um, I am gonna give J1 a 4 because I think he's done some decent work to make it so that he's not the least trusted person on the board, and maybe he could get picked up further down the road, kind of like this trajectory is very similar to what happened on his original season. You know, he ends up kind of on the bottom of his crew. They get picked off one by one by one, and he is perceived as the least threatening. But then a faction within the majority alliance turns on itself, and they recruit J1 into their ranks so that they can more confidently have the numbers. But yeah, no, you tell me how you feel about J1.
I really need to listen to more calls with J1 that he's on. Because I just keep feeling like I don't have a sense of his game. So I just need to hear him call more people. And so that make, you know, I just want to understand him more. The positive thing though about this round for him was he was fourth in trust rankings overall, which I like you seem to be is shocking. Like I wouldn't have guessed him to be fourth. Um, like him being over Caleb by a spot, that's going into this, we would have thought that's crazy.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm also shocked by two. First and third, they make sense. Second and fourth, how did that happen?
Yeah, exactly, I agree. Um, so Edward or not Edward, sorry. Jay did form an alliance called the Golden Girls, with hold on, I just want to make sure I get it correctly. It's Jay, Caleb, Aaliyah, Jay, Caleb, Aaliyah, Lily, Mikey. I think it's just five.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
okay.
does check out. Yeah.
So they have that alliance. That's a very strange alliance that you could really compare to the Rune Breakers of like, what is this combination of people? Like, I don't, I need someone to like explain the thread to me because it's like, I, um, it's just so loose, and like some of these people like have barely talked, and they have interesting history. So I don't know, but I mean, I hope that that alliance can make it a little farther. Um, I was thinking almost a five because that that's like the middle ground, but I'll agree with your four.
Yeah, it's like because he made that group and was the one asking production to make it. I was very intrigued, but I can't help but look at that group and just be like, what? How does Caleb? I mean, I'm just kidding. How does J1 in a world where this is the final five get to the end? Like, yes, it's only 2 rounds away, so like maybe he could like just win both challenges, but like that's not an ideal position for him to be in. Um, I
That's
think
a
that
bad final five for him.
that's a terrible final five for him. Do I think that's the worst? I think there's at least some people, because like I think Caleb obviously was close with J1 before this game. He could try to use the whole Lily, like, oh, we started this game together. You were my final two. You're my ride or die. Let's ride this out all the way to the end. These people are going to beat us at the end. But then it keeps Aaliyah, who is probably one of his biggest competitors, both like from a physical perspective, and just like the position that he wants to be in, which he directly says, like Aaliyah is someone who he would really want out. Um,
It
that
might be.
Final Five alliance is terrible. It's great for her, not all that good for J1. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel confident with my four, but I did forget about that alliance, which kind of like it's like good and bad. He has something tangible that's as far and as distant from the bananas as possible. Because he probably saw that there was a sinking ship. He probably saw through Bryant already trying to throw them under the bus in the pre-jury, how Kevin and Bryant ended up being the targets, Jeremy being talked of in the same regard, that he needs to find sanctuary elsewhere.
I
But
think what he should have done is something like J1, Lily, Bryant, and maybe like a fourth person.
like Edward, like maybe like
Edward,
a
maybe Caleb. I don't
yeah.
know. Well, I guess Caleb and Jay, like if you just look
Hmm.
at it from the outside, those two don't really make sense. Like we know like their previous history, but like if you don't know it, it doesn't make any sense. So I think at least like Jay with Lily and Bryant kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't think Jay knows how close they are.
It's like if that's a final three, I mean, hey, that's I think that's within reach. I think that due to J1's strong relationship with Bryant may be a big advocate to Lily. I'm like, look, I got rid of Kevin. We got to keep J1. J1's good for me.
Mhm.
J1 is going to be nothing but a loyal number two, the both of us. And I think they would reasonably deduce that J1 probably perceives them both as his top two people. Lily as being the person who he was committed to the OG tribes, but then Bryant's also whom he has not separated from the first swap onwards. I guess he was on exile, but point being, like, I think they could have a conversation and be like, J1's very useful. We need J1 right now, and that's kind of like what he's banking on, is for Lily to not want J1 dead on a stick, which like I know that it's been so long since they've played with each other. But when you start to talk about not trusting somebody, it kind of ruminates for a while. You don't really see people like overcoming that perception because so much game has passed that like naturally those feelings are only going to get worse, which Lily has not expressed, and I believe J1 is fourth on Lily's trust rankings at least for this round.
Yeah.
So all these fours, he's fourth overall in the trust rankings. He's fourth in Lily's. We both gave him fours, like it's I don't know. We will see. But is it somebody that you want to talk about? Who's next, Jared?
Let's just go to Jeremy.
I was thinking
He's
of Jared. I was eyeing him earlier too.
he's in such a weird position. Um, it was really good that he won immunity this round because there was a chance. Well, okay, it was most likely going to be between him, Kevin, and Brian, as we've said. So I don't know who would have left between the three. I feel like Jeremy would have edged out safety over Kevin. Um, and I think Bryant still would have been fine. So, but Jeremy is kind of in a sinking ship right now. Um, I think that he, similar to Kevin, is on shaky ground, but at least Jeremy has Edward, who's trying to his best to keep him in the game, but without trying to make it too obvious. Um, but Jeremy, I'm just worried for. Like, he's even said that he's not the best socially. Like, and it's like we've been saying with Kevin early on, he had a grip on the game and his grip has slowly loosened as the game has progressed, and he needs to figure out some way to get stable ground. Um, I don't think he has any advantages. Um, he, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of worried that he could potentially leave in this upcoming round because I don't see very many connections for him. Um, I think I'm going to give him a 3, but was debating going like a 2.
I'm also kind of leaning towards it too right now, but let me talk about it. Let me see if I come to that conclusion yet again. Yeah, Jeremy, I mean, we'd been giving a lot of high hope, a lot of props the past couple rounds for building stuff outside of the bananas. And we felt that of the four, he had been doing the best job at doing so and had the most opportunity to do so. Of course, he had Edward, but he was forging this bond with Aaliyah and Caleb. When J1 ends up on the swap tribe with him, he forges a decent enough bond with Jay. At least had an alliance with Mikey, which, like, granted, it's dead, but like it's not active. But it's something that if they went to tribal council again, maybe he could have potentially used to pull off some shenanigans. Um, but Jeremy this round, he just kind of just dropped, and it kind of happened out of nowhere. Like you leave the live night of it all. And I'm still feeling really good about Jeremy personally. He's immediately getting on a call with Edward. They're comparing notes. They talked about the last tribal council. They're laying out the lay of the land. And I still think Jeremy has one of, if not the best reads on in the game, both by like the dynamics and the people who are working with who and whom he perceives as threats. He's clocked Lily as someone he believes is a very dangerous player and someone who's going to do really well, which she is. Um, but he's done, I think, a lot due to Bryant's underhanded work, but also Jeremy's lack of good work. Lost a lot of those connections we were saying before. Aaliyah put Jeremy dead last, like despite the fact that they have spent as much time in the game with each other. And Aaliyah's putting a lot of stock in the fact that Jeremy was gunning for her in the event that they would lose again, which is absolutely true. And the fact that the rumors of Jeremy also wanting Caleb gone as well, like that's almost like amplifying Leah's urgency to get Jeremy out right now. Even Bryant after this round is like Jeremy's going to be dead last by, and like he didn't even do his trust rankings for round 9 yet. But all we know is Jeremy is last. Um, yeah, like he does have Edward, but I just don't see because he's second last in the trust rankings, or I guess now last because Kevin was last and Kevin is gone, and we see. So there is a chance where Jeremy could have been in a lot of danger here, and he unfortunately has found himself on the complete opposite side of the social juggernauts, the people who are the yappiest of the yappers. And like the one yapper he had on his team, due to how talkative he was almost like hurting his own cause by talking as much as he was. Whereas like these other people, the Lilies, the Calebs, like are really putting in a lot of the work to forge these bonds and get people to feel good with them. I think that he knows what he needs to do. I think the thing is like when he's thinking rationally and not thinking to like what will make the best TV, then he usually comes up with formulates a plan that makes a lot of sense and could form an argument that makes sense to people. But the problem is, will he execute this? Will people be receptive to how Jeremy is trying to strategize with one another? 'Cause some people might be caught a little bit off guard or might be a little bit not rubbed the wrong way, but his kind of sense of humor and the way like he delivers things might come off in the most like just authentic way. I'm going to give him. I was going to give him a 2. I'll match your 3. But the 3 is 3.0. It's right teetering on the 2.9 territory. Um, I hope Jeremy could pull this off. I do think of everybody here, he is in the most danger the next round, but there are some people who I think are in danger in the immediate future as well that I think would do more to mess it up for themselves and make themselves bigger targets.
I think that a great thing that you said was that Jeremy's reads on the game are truly like so spot on. And I'm shocked whenever he like says them in his prod chat. So I'm like, this is right. Like based off all the calls I've been on, all the chats I've seen, you haven't been involved like in any of them, but you're calling it. And I'm just amazed. But it's just he needs the urgency to do something. And I need to hear what he thinks he can do to get out of this position. And obviously it's doing something with Edward. Um, but I think that the key for Jeremy is I think he needs to get Aaliyah, Lily, or Ryu on his side to start swinging things his way. Because I think those are the three, maybe Caleb also. Those are like the really social people that I think can get things going in his favor. So he just needs to build social connections and build on what he's saying in his broad chat.
So I think that like there is a world where he clocks Bryant and Lily for how close that they are, which I think is the only piece of the puzzle he's missing. Like I
No, I think he knows that.
does he know about that?
I think he, I think I heard that Edward told Lily that Jeremy said that those two played together.
That maybe he does know about it. Because I feel like that's very integral. I think that he's had every piece of the jigsaw puzzle kind of sorted out, like who's close with who can. Because like he can't pitch, because unlike Sergio from a couple rounds ago, he will not pitch a name to somebody that does not. It makes absolutely no sense for that person. Like he's not going to pitch Bryant to Lily or vice versa if he's able to deduce that those two are as close as they are. And kind of because I remember he at a point was almost ready to jump ship and just undyingly work with the Caleb Aaliyah side of it all. I do think that there is a that is his avenue out of this situation right there, trying to reconcile those two relationships. And with well, we're talking about this after the round nine immunity challenge, with Aaliyah being safe. Maybe Aaliyah will be more perceptive to doing something kind of crazy because it can't backfire on her, at least not right now. We'll see. But speaking of Aaliyah, I actually kind of wanted to talk about her next because I gave her a one last round. Still stand by it. Still stand by it. She self-voted. She fell asleep. Boy, am I so pissed about that. But this round, I think she really picked it up. I think that she, well, obviously linked up with Caleb again, linked up, reunited with Ryu again, and kind of and somehow, don't know how this happened, is the second most trusted person on the board. There are so many people that are ready to defend this girl. And I like some of them, I'm like Caleb, Ryu of it all. Like that does make sense. Mikey obviously makes sense. Um, but then I'm like also looking at how high is she on other people's lists. Um, J1 Edward kind of have her in the middle, despite the fact that like she should not be in the middle of J1. Um, there's a couple questionable ones, like also Jeremy has her ridiculously high, despite the fact that like
Don't trust Jeremy's rankings. You know this.
I don't trust Jeremy, but it's like he gave them all tiers, so I want to believe he's telling the truth at least a little bit, like he trusts personally, like maybe. Um, Lily having her seventh is interesting. Maybe just the fact that they haven't been able to interact up until this point, but at least like the sentiment maybe Lily had about not being able to bring herself to vote off Sanam, that might be a reason why Lily might want to keep Aaliyah around for a couple more rounds. Because it's really only those two. And what Aaliyah calls the sausage fest. If she wants to find a way to get out of this, then like that's the way. Um, what is her stock though? I kind of want to hear your perspective and then I could kind of, because it is also very weird to assess.
Hmm. I mean, she has Mikey as a solid number, who, if Mikey flips on her, I don't think would happen till later game. Um, but as of right now, she has Mikey. Um, but she also has Caleb, who is like a fanboy for her because he's literally always saying like, "I'm obsessed with you," like, and he was just so excited to be reunited with her. Um,
And Ryu, who also was very not obsessed, not like fangirling like
yeah, yeah.
Caleb was, but like a fan in his own right. Like he's listened to a
He
couple of her albums.
he's a little puppy dog. He was like really excited to see her because they have a I think Aaliyah, I just looked at this and I already forget. Aaliyah, Caleb, and Ryu have an alliance that I forget about because they aren't like super active in the alliance. But I think that those three still like want to work together. And at this point, it's like it's spoken, but also kind of like unspoken that these three like want to work together. Um, but yeah, I can't believe that her average somehow averaged to second highest on here. And you look at it, it's like, she got a seven, she got a six, she had a couple fives, another six, but like, and only got one and managed second. Um, but even though she was going to go home if Baravi went to the last pre-merge tribal, I, in the live night, I didn't think she would go home, even though she wasn't there, even though there was discussion of let's vote out the people who aren't here. I don't think that would have actually happened for Aaliyah. Um, Like, even if Sergio was there, I think Sergio would have still been a target over Aaliyah. I think that if Mikey had not won immunity, um, Mikey would have been a target over Aaliyah. Even if, again, if she had still not been there and self-voted, I think she still wouldn't have been a target. Um, God, she is so tough to rank.
It's like this is kind of what I'm currently at. I kind of want to give her a six right now. Um, Very tempted to go higher because like a Bryant's me giving because we're because Bryant's putting in enough work where he is not in the greatest position on the planet. His position is much worse than Aaliyah's. But the work Bryant was able to do to save himself from being voted off, the momentum that he's riding on right now in this relationship that he has with Lily can pay dividends moving forward and continue a trajectory upwards. Aaliyah did a lot of good work all throughout the round. It's much more consistent and is probably in a better spot because due to the fact that she has Caleb, Mikey, and Ryu going into final nine, and if one of those four doesn't go home at nine, which won't be her because she's immune, she's in a really good spot. At worst, it's rocks, but she has two idols in her corner, so her allies are decked out with stuff. And well, I mean, I'll probably say I'll leave it as a six, but her six is higher than Ryan's six, at
I'll
least for
give
me.
her six. I think that's a good number. But also now I want rock some round.
But yeah, no. I just saw the two numbers next to each other.
Oh my God.
I just learned what that meant like a day or two ago for my brother. I clearly don't know sports. But a guy who is I don't know how the fuck to rank this dude because I don't know what happened. Ryu. Ryu's not completely dead. Like, how did that happen? I thought that after Sergio got sent home, it would just been Ryu needs to win out. Like, I felt that he would need to use his idol. He wasn't even really all that heavily considered to be the target this round. Like, he rekindles don't know how this happened. It's him and Lily are on good terms. They trust each other now. They're working together now. He's reunited with Aaliyah, has Caleb. He's locked in right now. And voting off Sergio might have been excellent for his game. And with Sergio also voting for Ryu might good be good for perception because I think that a lot of the negative press Sergio was receiving, Ryu's now slowly freeing himself from. Now, granted, we just did touchy subjects, and he's still getting a lot of like negative ones. Who's going to get voted off next? Who's the villain of the season? Who's the biggest troll? Who's going to set off the most booby traps? Like he's still getting some things that are very reminiscent of how people were talking about him after the greed, after the Plum Bob debacle. But no one's doing, as of right now, nothing has been done to undercut Ryu in this way. And he's actually done some pretty good work reforming that bond with Lily, having the quickie, like he was quick, no pun intended, to make that alliance of Reluve 3.0 and really locking in. I need a solid group. If I can get Aaliyah, I could get Mikey, he could run the table. And I do think that there's a path forward that doesn't involve winning a million challenges to get there. Ryu has shown again, like more hints and signs of like what we were seeing earlier on when he was like fifth contender and then skyrocketed up to second. Um, and he still has the idol somehow. That guy, he's still, I mean, correctly assessed both of these times. He didn't need it. Um, I do think that he will eventually that this will be remembered by everyone's like, oh yeah, we're supposed to hate Ryu, and Ryu will have to eventually face that, but he didn't face it at all this round, which I'm really impressed with. So I'm also gonna give him a 6. Like good for him, man. I was tempted to give him a 5 because I don't know if I'm scared it's too good to be true, but I'm just like, good job.
It's like I mentioned last time, he is using the idol how you he's using the public idol how you should be. He's People are just assuming that he will use it, but then he doesn't use it. So he can use it next round. And at some point they just need to call his bluff and say, okay, well, he's either gonna use the idol, so we need to split the vote so we can at least flush it, or we just need to vote him out and hope, call his bluff that he won't use it, kind of like they did Sanam. Um, so I can't believe that he still hasn't used it. Um, I mean, I think that he has a path forward right now. I mean, I think that his allies eventually, I could see them going, okay, now it's time to get rid of Ryu, or now we need to consider getting rid of Ryu. But this round, I feel like I was on a million calls with him. Um, but I didn't hate him this round. Um, he was kind of guiding the vote in a way where I think him and Lily were kind of guiding the vote really of swaying it from to Kevin. Um, but he put in a lot of good work, was on a lot of calls. I don't think he rubbed too many people wrong this round. Um, I think I'm gonna give him a 7. I was debating the 8, but you're muted.
Thanks, Jared. I was looking at the trust rankings, and I remembered I saw this, um, both now and like before, and I had to double take on Lily's trust rankings just like a little bit. I had to pause because I was like, okay, Brian being number one makes sense, but like, who's the number one aside from just like of all the players you just met this game? I'm thinking maybe Edward. No, not Edward. I'm thinking Aaliyah for the aforementioned reasons, like the whole Sanam thing. No, not Aaliyah. Not Caleb either. It's Ryu.
I don't understand the relationship, but I never will understand the
I
relationship.
never will either. It's like it's just like I don't even know how to put into word. It shocks me just how well he played this round. He was able to recover. I thought he was at least would have been the target over Mike. He at least would have been the person that Kevin and like the whole what could have been the bananas, the remnants of the banana bread, would have gone for Ryu instead of Mikey to try to like flush the idol. And which granted, like Kevin did try to get him to play his idol, which like he confesses as much to at tribal council when he gets voted off. But aside from that, I don't think people were
But
doing
Ryu
enough
knew
to
what he was doing.
exactly like Ryu's like, oh, maybe he's giving me lip service. Like Ryu's. reads are also getting better as well. Like not like Jeremy levels yet, but like whenever he is sharing something in his project, is he, Kayla, him, Bryant, Edward, Jeremy are consistently giving us their insights into the game and sending confessionals, and J1 as well when he's able to do a confessional. But Ryu, I'm just impressed by, man. He's on the up and up again. He's back
Yeah.
up on there. I just hope that he doesn't do something stupid again.
Honestly, we're just waiting for the domino.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it. And at that point, I'm just like, you guys can't let this guy slide. It's like at least the swap separated him. Like the swap agreed. Both were came at times. No, I mean the plumb bob situation. Both happened when the game was changing. So any repercussions he would have faced if he just went back to camp and just had to deal with all the group of people he pulled this shit off with, he
That's so
doesn't need to
true.
do it. Like he's just all of them been kind of like swept under the rug, not entirely, but the process of the sweeping. He's definitely doing it. Good job. Is there someone you want to talk about though of
Let's
these
go to
four?
Mikey.
That's what I was thinking of too. Kind of leave the three contenders for last. Waluigi L. Wait, continue. You can start with Nike.
Again, Mikey's just been consistent for a couple rounds now on his activity level, which I'm just going to keep harping on that because of his beginning in the game. I'm just impressed by, his consistent activity level. His name was brought up as obviously the decoy name for Kevin. That's who Kevin ended up voting for. Um, but there was Lily did at one point want to flip the vote to Mikey, but Ryu shut it down. Um, because like of numbers, like wanting to keep Mikey in, I think because they didn't want to piss like Aaliyah off and like some other people off. So Mikey was slightly in danger, and I think that could always be a potential person to go home, even though he has the Golden Girls Alliance. We need to see if that's actually a stable alliance or not. Um, but I mean, he has Aaliyah. Um, what did Lily rated him sixth? Um, but I don't know. I think Mikey is still like he's still in danger. I need to see now more urgency in his game to get things moving. Um, I'm gonna give him another four because that's what I gave him last week or last round.
Mikey has been how do I put this? Mikey has been man, this is about Mikey has been is very tough to assess as a player because kind of similarly to Ryu, I thought for very different reasons he would have been dead to rights. There were so many times in the pre-jury where he was in a very precarious position. Just one thing goes differently, then he would have gone home. During the East round, during the Morgan round, during like if they had lost again, and there's a chance he would have been in danger. If he didn't win immunity, he could have been in danger a lot there. It's him dodging all of these bullets. And Kevin leaves here thinking, oh, Mikey's going to win the game and believes that Mikey's story is compelling, which, based off of just what we've been saying on the Stockwatch, Mikey has not played the highest quality game on the planet. However, that does, as it raise an interesting point. Will people be invested in the story if he hypothetically does get to the end? The problem with this is, though, is that with Kevin gone, Sanam gone, that Bryant, Jeremy, if we want to include J1 in that type of corner of the tribe doesn't look threatening or look as threatening anymore, especially if they take another shot at that group. Like if Jeremy goes home next, or maybe J1 does, like cool. But then that's gonna look a lot less scary. And people were still talking about Ali and Mikey being friends. I know Edward and Rhea were talking about this. And if they're going to take a shot at one of those two, it would be Mikey. And I think that Mikey's survival and like Ryu shutting it down, for example, I think is more so to do with like his him wanting to keep Ali in his good graces rather than it being anything to do with like, oh, Mikey's very valuable to me personally because Ryu and Lily do have some reason to gun for Mikey. Mikey, like Ryu pulled off that stunt with the Morrigan of it all, and Mikey has been dogging Ryu pretty much ever since. And Lily had not only wanted Mikey gone, just OG tribes like day 11. I'm pretty sure is that day is what the day of that tribal council was, day 10, day whatever, um, somewhere in that range, maybe less, but also voted for him twice, even with the second time she did not need to. So it's like I understand why Mikey might be in danger in the immediate future. Whereas like with some of these other players that we have ranked pretty low, I see how they're able to get out of it once they're in that adversarial position. I see Jeremy corralling some people through Edward because, and my gosh, Edward is becoming steadily the most improved player as far as our estimations have gone. So like I think Edward can potentially pull this off. And J1, I think also similarly has Bryant, who's also doing a lot of very impressive work. And J1 obviously does have the Golden Girls. Mikey, I don't really know, like obviously has the Golden Girls as well, if that is real. But aside from that, I don't know how much he has. Um, like to the point where, granted, Mikey also doesn't have Aaliyah as his number one, similar vein that Aaliyah doesn't have him, which like I thought was just going to be a gimme. Um, but the difference is Aaliyah and Caleb are ride or dies. They're untouchables. They're as thick as thieves. Mikey and Lily are not thick as thieves, despite the fact that they've played most of this game together. I'm going to give him. I'm actually going to bump him down to a 3, so he's on par with Jeremy. I see a world where he might be the next person going home. Um, I don't know how much longer people not wanting to piss off Aaliyah is going to save him. And I think that's going to be his main, his staying power, where it comes from, if not comp wins.
I agree I think I'm going to change it to the three because of the points you made, and he was close to going home, and his game is comparable to Jeremy. Um, the only other thing I'm going to add, because I saw this in a chat, for this, for round nine, what's funny is look at who got villain and hero. For the to verbally say it, Ryu got villain, Lily got hero. So I just had to point that out because it's just the irony.
And the irony is that Mikey is the one on everyone's DNP, not Lily or especially me.
That one
That
still is crazy to me.
that's still funny. I don't know how that happened. And Mikey, I love how Mikey was because he had to do his challenge early, was the only one to say, I don't like this question. And this is the only person I think on the entire cast that said something, at least like in a text, maybe like on a VC, people are that were saying, like, damn, that's a nasty question. But Mikey to be the one to get it to, it's funny. Um, is there somebody that you want to talk about next? Again, we have the Waluigi L of contenders right now.
I want to leave the middle two for last, so let's do
Sorry,
Edward.
what's the symmetry? It's a lot. Okay. But you could go first with Edward because I gotta like collect myself, compose myself, relax. I need to woosah. Like not give 3 times right now, but we gotta we'll get there.
He's he has to calm himself down from just giving Edward a 10 right away. Um, I mean, Edward this round was he was, very active. He was very involved. He somehow has become like the middleman in this whole thing of like no one's really saying his name whatsoever. He was third in the trust rankings, which backs all this up of him being, like that middle person. Everyone like wants to work with him, I believe. He has Jeremy, he has the Quickies Alliance. Um, I think him and Aaliyah are good. I think Brandon and him need to work on things. Him and J1, I think, are fine. Um, you don't know how him and Mikey are, but then, Lily still trusts him. So he did really good this round. Um, Do I think he played like a super pivotal role in the outcome? No, but he was in a lot of the conversations for it. And so he's really just continuing to maintain his position in the game. And he was included in the Rune Breakers Alliance. He wasn't included in the Golden Girls, which is fine. But I don't know, he just does have a good position in this game. Um, I'm just like, I'm gonna give him a 6 for now. I don't know. You can talk me out of it.
So I'm looking at his trust rankings, right? And like some of these I was like, ooh, oh no, he's seventh and Bryant, so no, but like in eighth and Mikey's, oh no, but like it's not just who he's low on, but like it's not how many times he's low on somebody's trust rankings because like we said, like the so weird this tribe. But also like who has him low. And are they threats to their game, or is this bad for their long-term plans? Because like for like example, we had like Jeremy, who if we were to take his trust ranking seriously, putting Aaliyah at 2, whereas Aaliyah has Jeremy at 9, that is not a good person to be having high in your estimations. If Jeremy would want Aaliyah to go far in this game, and Aaliyah would not want the same thing back. Um, Bryant and Mikey specifically are both in very perilous positions. If he gets rid of Kevin here, if he's somehow able to protect Jeremy and somehow push the target either onto Bryant or potentially even onto Mikey, which I think it's definitely possible because, like I said, he was a part of that conversation with Ryu about Aaliyah and Mikey being friends outside of here. I could see him even better improving his position in the game. Depends on how he goes forward with this, because if he is a big proponent of getting rid of Bryant, obviously it's going to piss off Lily. But if he's kind of just like someone kind of recruited into the plan, it's kind of just like, oh, this is where the numbers I think are going, Lily. This is what we're going to do, and kind of comes at it from like an earnest, like, look, I don't want it to be Bryant, but seems to be where the train is going right now. Um, then maybe like Lily and him could still be fine afterwards. It's just again, it's got to be very particular, very careful. He's always giving us his insights through his confessionals, and I'm always looking forward to hearing those from him. Um, he has Jeremy, who is in lots of danger right now, which like I'm going to give him a 10. I'm going to give him a 7. And whether or not this skyrockets up to like an 8, 9s, the 10s, like the confidently green colors, and to like the browns, like your 5s, your 4s, maybe even your reds. Um, it's if he can protect Jeremy. Because if he can pull this off and he can get like a Bryant or a Mikey to get sent home, like maybe even like J1 would be the best thing in the world, but like better than Jeremy, then I do think that he can move up because while we've seen him be in pretty solid or decent position socially, he has not been the most active strategically. Even like of the him and Jeremy, who's a maniac, they're both saying Jeremy's the sane one in the group and is probably the more strategically capable. So seeing this, I think really is a tell. Like, granted, like yes, Jeremy going home would be an advocate for Edward on the jury, but that's kind of all that is. So you're losing someone who's going to be undyingly loyal to you and is giving Edward the wealth of information he's getting right now. It's going to decrease with Jeremy gone. Whereas I think he can maintain and potentially emerge as a threat of his own if someone else gets taken out.
Couple things. Can you imagine Jeremy in the jury chat with Sergio and Kevin?
What kind of jury is that? I like, honestly just see imagining Sergio and Kevin in there is weird because it's just like they were talking after Kevin got sent home. I'm just like, have they even been able to interact at all this game? I
No,
don't think they had. That's just so weird. It's like, what could have been? It could have been the final two, and we would never know.
but I think that if Jeremy leaves, that it then forces Edward into a more cornered position of sticking with the quickies, or at least sticking with Lily more. So I think that it probably is beneficial for Edward to try to keep Jeremy around for as long as he can, just so that maybe Jeremy can solidify more things, and then maybe Edward can also do work on his end to get Jeremy better or get Jeremy more integrated into his group. But I think at some point it would be best for Jeremy to leave for Edward's game because it is that person on the jury who would, be rooting for Edward. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what actually happens.
What might happen to Edward is kind of like Enzo. Like someone that a lot of the jury likes, enjoys as a human being, but not a player that a lot of people respect. Like when they get
Mm,
to the end of the game, with the trajectory that he's at right now. Like clearly he's doing really well socially. But will he be given credit for having agency in the game? I'm not entirely sure. That is my biggest fear. It's like if like even in the world where he does, I'm able to protect Jeremy, I could see Jeremy maybe overtaking him in that regard, where like I don't know how the hell Jeremy makes it to final three. It could happen. Definitely there. He is one of the 10 people, no, one of the 9 people still in the game right now. But I know it's very far ahead, but you gotta start thinking like just with what we know, if this is accurate or indicative of how the jury is going to perceive them as players, there are some people who are in worse positions like win equity wise than others. And I think Edward is good right now, but might be like a 0 vote finalist as of right now. Just like people like him, like,
we're a
oh,
one
okay.
vote finalist because Jeremy knows that he might not get any votes, so Jeremy's like, I'm voting for Edward.
To be fair, I mean that is what he did last season. He did throw a vote onto some boys like, oh, I don't know, they're gonna be
But he
like
voted correctly.
the one time I'll ever agree with Alex on anything. Your reason was funny, but you like unintentionally voted correct. Like,
I
uh,
wanted to vote for my friend, and I didn't want someone to get second place.
oh, you didn't need to worry about that. But I want to talk about Caleb
Okay.
and then talk about Lily. Caleb, it's so weird because I don't know who to rank higher. Like when, because I'm already thinking of the contenders right now. Because usually, like once we get there, it's just like, oh, what do we think? What do you think, Jared? What do you think, Jared Denny? But here, I'm just like, who the fuck is higher? And kind of, I'm going to be cheating a little bit because I'm talking about them both like in comparison to each other already. Because I think this is the top two. I think this is definitively the two people playing the best game right now and in the best positions right now. Caleb, what his strength is, I think he has more solid numbers. I think he has more people very confidently in his corner. He has Aaliyah very confidently in his corner. He has Ryu very confidently in his corner. He has Edward confidently in his corner. Like he has these connections with people that will willing to go to bat for him. And he got rid of Kevin, who had been perceiving him as this really big threat. Now he's not completely out of the waters just yet. I do think that he still has a couple people eyeing him, and to put round 9 into perspective, he did win the who is most likely to win the game. Like people are aware of how good of a player he is and could be seen as the biggest jury threat on the board. And so even those people that I just had for mention, your Edwards, your Ryus, your Elias, and even kind of Mikey, because I feel like that's kind of where Mikey is headed, at least like who he wants to align with, like barring maybe Edward. Um, they would probably have to eventually take a shot if they want to have a chance of winning. But Caleb, I feel like this just feels like Caleb's side. I feel like when you look at the quickies, you see Caleb, Ryu, Edward, and Lily. You have Caleb and Ryu's doing some pretty good work with these other two, and they're all kind of bonding and getting along and agreeing. We got to work together long term. But their add-ons are all of Caleb's other extra, like it's all of Caleb's numbers. It's getting Elias, getting J1 on his side, which like yes, like J1 had played with Edward and Lily beforehand. But they hit it off very quickly, and Caleb backed off of like the whole "oh J1 can eat my ass" of it all, which is great because J1 doesn't want Caleb to eat his. Um, I do think that Caleb is in a really good spot, has a good chance of winning the game. Um, what do I rank him? What do I rank him? I think right now I got him more than the nine. I have genuinely been very impressed by Caleb's game socially. Still has not caught any votes. Still hasn't caught like too much flack in any conversation that I've seen beyond just like, oh, Caleb's good, which is not even something like Lily's even a like Lily kind of sort of with Jeremy, but that's kind of it. So in that regard, Lily is better. But I don't know, just have nothing but good things to say about Caleb. I'm gonna keep rambling and just saying, oh my gosh, Caleb's doing so good, but I'm just
Yeah, their games are very comparable because, like, as you were speaking, like, outside of the quickies, well, if you kind of include the quickies, um, Caleb has Jay and Aaliyah as like side pieces. Lily has Bryant as a side piece. Again, outside the quickies, but if like you include quickies, I don't know. Again, the quickies are such a weird group because like they literally share like everything with each other, literally like every single piece of information. So it's so hard to know who they actually trust more. Because like Ryu, I feel like trust Lily more than Caleb, but in his rankings, Ryu has Caleb over Lily. But I feel like it's so interchangeable that it could change day by day, minute by minute. It's just I don't know who's actually going to be higher. Um, but I think that this round, Caleb did like a really good job. He was in like a lot of the conversations. He was speaking to Jeremy about things and wanting, to feel things out. And I think that Caleb wouldn't be opposed to keeping Jeremy around, maybe. Um, but I think that Caleb is obviously a front runner. I do worry about him kind of long term, even though he has these connections, because like as in Hypnotic, I got most likely to win the season in touchy subjects. And I there wasn't the only way I could have beaten that and maybe like downplayed it more is like I needed competition wins to help my game. We Caleb might need that at certain points. And I know he can win competitions, like I've seen him do it, but these upcoming rounds will be crucial for if he can make it long term and the right people need to leave so that he can keep going. I'm gonna give him an 8, I think. Because these two I do think were very good this round. Caleb and Lily.
yeah, it's very fair. I know the nine is pretty high, is very high. I don't know when the last time I've given I dare. Do I dare look up? Do I dare
I'll
scroll
look,
up
hold
and
on.
just see how long ago was my last
I
nine?
got it. I think the
Boosh.
last oh no, hold on, it's not that long ago. We
Yeah, it
gave
was 2 rounds
nine
ago
in round 6
to Jeremy, right?
and Caleb.
Oh, and okay. Well, I guess this is not all that shocking because
But
Caleb is just
then
that good.
prior to that was round okay, we've actually been giving nines. Because
It
it was
feels
like
like such
round
an exclusive.
5, round 3, round 2.
It's tens that we're not giving. That's
Yeah, it's
that's the
tens.
we have not touched the tens. And man, oh man, oh man, you could start with Lily, but I need to also woosh out with Lily too because I'm just like, do I do it? Do I dare?
Oh, don't tempt me with a good time with that. I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off. Lily's gonna get my 9, debatably a 10. But it was just the way she was able to navigate this round was just so good. Like at first I thought that she was just gonna give up on Brian and like they were, okay with it. But then they calmed down, they talked it through, and she was able to get her way in a way that I don't think blew up her game in any negative way. Um, Getting rid of Kevin was perfect because, you know, she didn't love calling with Kevin. And also Kevin was never really a number for her. So getting him out now would have was perfect. I think that she needs someone like a Ryu, maybe an Edward to talk her down from things. Like, I don't think this was the right round to get rid of Mikey. I think that Kevin or Jeremy, I know Jeremy was immune, but I think one of those two leaving was best for her game just because she doesn't have the connection with her. The knock on her game is like Jeremy did say, like, in a perfect world, if he, if he had soul vote, I'm gonna say soul vote to evict, but if he got to choose, he would get rid of Lily because he sees them in a very similar position. So I think that Lily long term really does need to get rid of Jeremy because I think that if she can get Jeremy out, that's one less person who's really clocking her game, even though he told that to Caleb. And so it might still be like in the back of Caleb's mind, but I think that Caleb will want to keep Lily around. Um, but if you get Jeremy to jury, he can he'll compliment Edward, but at the same time he'll give Lily her flowers that she deserves and be like, yeah, and tell Kevin and Sergio excellent reads on the game. Like, so, and again, like, out where did Aaliyah rank her?
They
Um,
weren't like the highest on each other from what I recall. I know Lily.
fourth.
Not bad. I know Lily put her seventh
Yeah,
or
yeah.
somewhere in that range, and then put Caleb eighth. That was interesting for how much we've talked about like the quickies of it all, like just like being this very tight knit alliance, and they were like forthright with each other about.
Again, like I think that was maybe more like spur of the moment kind of thing. Okay, who does she have ranked above him? Ryu, Bryant, Edward, Jay.
Everyone
She
except
had
Jeremy,
Kevin
I'm pretty
ranked
sure.
5. I'm questioning Lily now.
Good.
Um, but I think that again, she also did these trust rings like last minute, so um I had to keep bugging her about it. I was like, send these in. I don't care if like they aren't like super accurate. We just need them. But I think that she still really does trust Caleb. How much longer, we'll see, because I heard some things this round. Um, but I am really impressed with her this round. And if you gave her a 10, I wouldn't blame you.
I I was gonna give her a 10 wholeheartedly. Then you told me Kevin was 5, and that has to be punished. She gets an 8. No, okay, but seriously, though, okay. Seriously, I'm going to give her an 8. Not for that. That's funny as that would be. Love you, Kevin, I promise. Um, but the thing with Lily, right, is that she is the most trusted person on the board. She has now reclaimed her throne at the top as the most trusted person on the cast, has lots of people really wanting to work with her. Has maybe more longevity in the sense that maybe her win equity is not as so far out in the open. I think that with multiple people kind of clocking Caleb for how good he's been playing, it's not just been Jeremy. At least with Lily, it's only been him, and Jeremy might potentially be out the door very soon. So there might not be someone gunning for Lily, not for quite some time. What I do see happening soon is I think Caleb and Lily are going to recognize the threat that the other one poses. And I think whom we continue to have as the top contender will be whomever comes out on top in that duel. And right now, while Caleb has more idols on his side, he has Ryu's idol, his own idol, and might have some more like stronger numbers on his side. What Lily has is both, I think, the element of surprise, and I think has someone more ideal for her to go, being set up to be the next target than Caleb is. I think Caleb, it would behoove him to somehow be able to snipe Bryant out of the game. I think that is Caleb's best move here, which I know Lily will not be enthused by. Um, Whereas with it's the inverse. Like I think Caleb has reason to keep Jeremy around, and Lily has very valid reasons to get rid of him. So I'm kind of very interested to see how this next round plays out. If those two end up being like the first, like the initial targets, I guess maybe like a Mikey, which both are weird for like, different reasons as to why like Mikey going could be good, can be bad. Um, yeah, no, I think that she's done really effective work to getting Ryu back on her side and like you said, kind of like having this relationship where like he's talking her down from things. That's the worry, I think. Caleb is paranoid, but he kind of keeps it within his prod chat, whereas I think Lily might express something and needs to be like not like mediated. I don't think that's exactly the word, but obviously her gunning for Mikey, I don't think was the greatest strategic move on the planet. Um, yeah, no, I'm giving her an eight. I just think that Caleb and Lily being having the same average, I think just makes sense for this round. I think those two are the two playing the best games and have very interesting parallels. Um, it's just a matter of like I think the Zap gun's going to be very integral soon. I think the Zap gun's going to be coming out. I don't know if all the idols will be coming out soon. Oh, and Lily has her own. Holy shit, I fucking forgot about that. My goodness, like she's been so good at being keeping that a secret that I forgot.
Well, oh,
Although
no,
she
she
does
hasn't. She's only
Bryant.
told Bryant, I
Mm,
think. I
yeah,
feel like I
I think
missed
it's
something. She maybe spilled some information to Ryu. I don't remember. Um, the I Ryu's idol is so interesting because I don't know who he would use it on first, whether it's Caleb or Lily. Um, it might be Lily because he knows. Oh, I don't know.
it. Well,
It's an interesting thought.
if it's a situation where it's like, oh, Caleb and Lily are gunning for each other, that's not good for Ryu because like that is just
No.
really much it's weird because like it's something that needs to happen eventually for him to emerge as like a jury threat. Like right now, like Caleb and Lily are probably, which let's segue over here. Safe to say, those are the top two. Yes, yes, we
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right. Um, I am fine with it being a little bit more uh, better. All right. I'm fine with it being Lily Caleb. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Show some flex, show some it's dynamic, you know. Oh my gosh, look at Lily. But then the rest of the cast is interesting to assess because
Are we doing four or three?
that's a good question. I'd say this would probably be the last run for four,
Okay.
maybe eight, like tentative. There are a couple of people I feel confident in eliminating. I would eliminate Jeremy, I'd eliminate
Hmm.
Mikey,
Hmm.
I'd eliminate J1,
Yeah.
um, and maybe Bryant, I'd eliminate too, I think.
Um, Hold on. Let's table that.
Okay.
Do we think that is Edward still in our top three?
In my opinion, I think he still is.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
agree. I think Edward's third.
but then the fourth here is, I think there's arguments for all three. Um, I'd probably say just like who is most likely to go home next round? Because obviously, like we know Aaliyah is safe, but like let's say in the world that Aaliyah does not have immunity, who is most likely to go home of this three? I feel like it's Bryant, or at least like most likely to have their name rolling and most people catch on to it. And like, okay, I can do that.
Bryant.
I think so. And then because like Ryu and Aaliyah, I think there's people who would be like, whoa, 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 slow your fucking horses. We're not fucking doing that. And the only person I think would be that way with Bryant is Lily.
Hmm.
Um, so and that might just expose their relationship. Like, why are you protecting this man you never met this whole game, Lily? Do you guys know each other?
Hmm.
Maybe, you know. Um,
Think my vote would be for Ryu over Aaliyah, just because I like the public idol thing that he's doing.
good for Ryu. Honestly, I agree with that too. It's like I think
Oh,
he's done more work as
yeah.
well. I think to be in the position that he's in, whereas I think like Aaliyah was kind of left on like a dry desert of a tribe that is Baravi 3.0, where the one contribution she made was getting rid of someone undyingly loyal to her. So it's like I think Ryu did a lot of work and had a lot more to overcome to be able to be in the position that he's in. So I think I'm more impressed by just his gameplay right now than Aaliyah's. But
How long of a break was it in between Ryu and the top?
4 rounds when Aaliyah's was 6.
I'm
But
telling you that the Tommy vote, the Issa vote, and the Morgan vote are like ones I could keep like talking about over and over again because of how fascinating they are. Yeah,
but
Morgan, Issa, Tommy.
Morgan needs a Tommy for sure. Speaking of Morgan needs a Tommy, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Issa. Thank you, Tommy, for listening in as the rest of you are to the Spellbound Survivor Stockwatch. I'm your host, Jacob Armstrong. I'm joined here with Jared Denny. Next time you see us, we'll be covering the final 8. We've talked a little bit around some things that have been happening in the game, who won immunity. Well, we're doing touchy subjects. Maybe some other superlatives are going to come out and actually affect their perceptions. But before I close off, Jared, whose superlative do you think is going to carry the most weight? Like that's going to stick with them, and that's going to be something they may have to overcome.
Um, Hold on, I need to get the sheet. Oh, I have it open over here.
There's a few. I know you said Caleb earlier.
Well, that's just because of my experience with it.
Mhm.
Um, mm, Best carryover. I feel like I think I just have to go with Caleb because like the villain of the season, I think that was just an obvious one to be Ryu. But I don't think we really have a villain this season. I don't think Hero with Lily could hurt her, maybe, but I would still rank that number two. Um, this cast is just so interesting because it's just
Yeah.
like there's not really like none of these are like super shocking.
Imagine if the top 4 are all the 4 people who tied for Xander's favorite this round.
That was one of my favorite ones.
This 2-2-2-2-1 is an insane vote. Hopefully, we could get a 2-2-2-1 vote, Sabar, because we're recording this the day
I just want
before.
rock some round.
Rocks, 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 rocks. Well, hopefully we see rocks. And this will be the Spellbound Survivor Rock Watch. Thank you, all for tuning in. Remember, you can't win.